I'm in the van today, as you can see. I want to try and get on the road as much as I can, and in the new phase of the channel, start exploring and go on this fact-finding mission about growing food, meeting perhaps more of you as well, and more of the communities, and see what's going on in the world. But at the moment, I'm just in the van. I'm making myself a cup of coffee. My van is a transit van, so I don't have many windows. I've just got the windows out the front. I've taken away the bulkhead, as you can see. I've got the side window in the door, which you can't see from where you are. And so I've tried to make it look like it was pretty okay. Let's have a cup here. And I thought I'd talk to you as I have a cup of coffee. So my monologues or my daily vlogs, I mean, it's going to change. I will still be doing some from the chair. I will still be doing a few interviews. You'll see, I mean, I've still got a couple of weeks of interviews to roll out yet, so I haven't completely abandoned that. And I may well come back to those. I'm not saying I'm not going to do any. I certainly want to do more of that kind of thing. Just going to put my table up. As you can see, this is a bit of a homemade effort here, but it's all quite discreet, so that you can just park up anywhere and nip in the back, make a cup of tea. This you can sleep on here. I can make it into a double bed when Julia is here. And so on and so forth. Being discreet suits me to the ground for the next phase, really, where you just want to be able to get on, go and see what's going on, and investigate stuff. So I've also got my pipe. One of the things that I want to do is to slow down, not be frenetic, to have less stress. And now that we know that tobacco is not the evil that everybody says it is, or has said it is, because nicotine is actually very useful to get rid of a certain protein that may be spiked in a certain medical intervention, we've now learnt. Which is probably why Fauci at the beginning of the pandemic said now's a good time to give up smoking. I think he knew that if he could persuade people to stop doing it, then they may be affected more by a certain thing that he was very much behind people having in huge numbers, as we know. So, hang on a minute, cheers. Getting out of the system, to me, is key for me, and I know for many other people. And when I say the system, I'm talking about what we believe and have been led to believe and has been rolled out for us. And that is the system, the acts and the statutes. The idea that the government authority comes before you and I as men and women. A system in which somebody else is making up the rules, and if you don't abide by their rules, they'll clobber you with fines or potentially lock you up. Now, that to me is an appalling system. Plus the fact, actually, if you think in the beginning there was God, whatever you think of God, a consciousness, a universe, a source, the beginning of everything. And then came man. I'm simplifying everything. Then came man, and man then introduced administration. And I've said this so many times, and I say this at my talks when I give them. And this is, we have to just remember the position, how it's been inverted, because this administration has somehow inserted itself between God and man, as if there is a God-given right for governments and indeed think tanks now to tell us what to do and to tell us how we should live our lives through these acts and statutes. But that cannot be right. We've asked these people, prime ministers, cabinet offices, we've asked these people to administer for us the nitty-gritty of stuff that we don't want to bother ourselves with. We want them to sort out proper policing so that there's no bother keeping the peace. We want them to make sure our borders are secure so that we don't have people coming in and, in the old days, raping and pillaging, burning our chimneys down, setting fire to the houses and things. We ask our administration to perhaps give our children a good solid grounding in education, not to indoctrinate them with crazy ideas and wokeism. We ask our administration to do the stuff that we basically don't have the time to do because we want to thrive. But what have they done? They've turned it all round. They're taxing us left, right and centre. And of course, as we know, they're sending the money that we give them, because they don't have any money of their own. They give billions away to different countries for all sorts of nefarious reasons. And the upshot of that is that innocent men, women and children are being killed. Now, it would be okay if that was part of a manifesto and said we will kill innocent men, women and children with the money that you give us. That's part of the manifesto. Then the people could say, oh, that's an interesting concept. Yes, I'll either agree or disagree. But I don't think anybody actually would agree to any of that. And so consequently, this is something we've not asked for. It's not honourable. It's murder. And it shouldn't happen. It should not happen. And yet it does. And we have been duped. And that's not a place I want to be in. It's not a system that I want to be part of. A system that is lying to me about so many different things. And anybody who's watched this channel for any length of time, of course, will have noticed that I have been going down the rabbit hole and discovering all those things, or at least the majority of the things that we've been lied to, and coming up more and more with others. You might be wondering why I smoke a pipe. It is a new acquisition, actually, and I've said about the nicotine stuff, but I had a book given to me a month ago or so now called Smoke Screens, and I've read another book about it as well, and the tests and the papers and the research to say that actually smoking kills or produces a certain disease that begins with the letter C is untrue, and a lot of it is biased. Now, I'm not saying it's the most healthiest thing. It's more healthy not to smoke at all, and I'm not suggesting or even promoting it. But cigarettes, of course, are a lot worse because you're ingesting. But this, for me, is very meditative. And ancient peoples used to smoke tobacco and would relax. And to me, it is about relaxing. And pipe smoking, in particular, is something romantic about it. And you may disagree, of course. But to me, there's something about it's being thoughtful, thinking, critical thinking. And you get better quality tobacco than you would ever get in cigarettes. You get used to the fact that every time you stop puffing, the pipe goes out. Anyway, my point is that I have decided I'm out of the system. I'm going to get out of the system. And you may say, how do you do that? I think you have to know who you are. You have to know who and what you are. So I consider myself, if I close my eyes, take a deep breath, I am more than a physical body. I am some spiritual entity. I am something conscious. I'm not a name written on a bit of paper in capitalization. I'm clearly not that. It is that, as we have explored so many times now, that has been made us feel that we are part of their system. I'm not an employee of the UK corporation. I'm not a citizen. I'm not a resident. I'm some nameless spirit, consciousness, that I will answer to perhaps a sound that sounds similar to Richard, but I'm not this capitalized thing, this legal fiction in a flat earth world. And I say flat earth not because I necessarily go along with flat earths, but because it's a flat paper world. It's a paper world created by the Vatican, and it's there to administrate and to take our energy by keeping us working. Half of all of this we don't need. Basically, I only need something very simple, but the world has been constructed to be so complex and so involved, of having to go to work and having to earn money in order to eat food and have trinkets and things. And I feel that that's all part of the deception. I think that we're living far too complicated lives, and we're at that time now when we're realizing it. So I've written to the government, the Lord Chancellor, the Attorney General, to the DVLA. I have other letters ready to go out, the Land Registry, my bank, the NHS, and others, all these authorities. And I'm telling them, I'm not this legal fiction. I'm not this person that you think I am. There's been a mistake. I am correcting my standing. And I'm writing to them, and I'm telling them who I am and what I believe I am, and I'm out of your system. Thank you very much. It's been very kind of you to enter into it, but I wasn't there. There was no meeting of the minds. I was duped as a child. I was made to believe that a piece of paper called a birth certificate or a certificate of birth was something to do with me, that registered an event. But I'm not part of any of that. Thank you very much. And I'm out of it. And as I explained before, I am the executor and sole beneficiary of that legal fiction, because nobody else can it be connected to or can claim it. I am its agent, but I'm not it. And so I ask these people to correct all the entries to say I'm the executor and the beneficiary, and that they, I'm telling them, putting them on notice, they are the trustees, which means they can sort it all out, do all the payments, do all of that. I didn't set up this trust that's associated with the birth certificate. They set it up, only they didn't tell me that I was the executive and sole beneficiary. So I'm just letting them know that I now know. Thank you very much. It's been very kind of you to do that, but the contract is pretty much null and void. But I'll accept being the executor and sole beneficiary, and you as the public or legal trustees can get on with it. So I think it's a way, at least it's an attempt to get out of their system and be free. And the next thing is to live in the private, to find land and to grow one's own, and say, I'm doing this all in the private, thank you very much, and therefore I don't want any government interference. Thanks very much. At least not this type of government. For this government, this type of administration, this House of Commons and voting and all of that, that's over. That's crumbling. The building is crumbling and the institution is crumbling. And I believe very soon there'll be something much more appropriate, glorious and worthwhile. And I think we're going there, just that we'll go through a bit of a dodgy old time. Anyway, I hope you'll follow and continue to enjoy the exploration of trying to live in the private, find land, grow my own stuff and get out of the system. I'll keep you updated. Until then, coffee and a pipe. And a bit of relaxation. I'll open the door so the smoke goes out, of course. Take care.